everyone, welcome to a new video. My name is Marianne Guevara. A huge hello and a huge thank you to anyone who is just clicking on this video, or if you're just checking out the channel. Whether you are a new subscriber or an old subscriber, thank you very much. Your viewership is always greatly appreciated. So today I'll be doing a video that I have been meaning to do, or I should have done quite a while back. As you can tell from the title, this is a very overdue review on The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. This is mainly going to be a sales pitch. Me trying to convince you to pick up this book, explain to you why you should give this book a chance. One of my most recent reads so far of the year was A Job of Corruption, which is the second book in the Shadow of the Leviathan series by Robert Jackson Bennett, which has gotten a lot of praise and buzz recently. The first book being The Tainted Cup. Now, The Tainted Cup I actually read, I think, last year. It was actually one of my favorite books of last year. But I'm here to tell you that the reason why I picked up The Tainted Cup was because of another book, and that is The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. Both of these books are mysteries that take place within a fantasy world, and I actually did a video a couple of months ago where I spotlighted both of them at the same time. However, I do want to dedicate an entire video talking about The Hexologists, featuring The Hexologists, because I definitely think this is a book, that this is a series that needs more eyes on it. The Hexologist takes place within a fantasy world that is reminiscent of the 1920s, 30s, so think Jazz Age. And we're following this married couple named Iz and Warren Wilby, who are basically private eyes, private detectives. If someone has a magical mishap, a certain case that they can't bring to the police, they bring it to the Wilbys. And the Wilbys have two main instruments at their use. One, hexology, which is a branch of magic within this world that makes use of hexes. And then they also have this carpet bag that is filled to the brim with many magical instruments and trinkets. Both of these they use to help in, solving their cases. Now, this first book starts off with the Wilbys being approached by the royal secretary, basically asking for their help because the king has gone a bit mad. He desires to be baked into a cake. He's even stuffed himself into an oven. And the Wilbys, who aren't fans of the royalty, find themselves kind of drawn into this case and having to solve it. My favorite aspect about the Hexologists would be the world building. When it comes to world building, Josiah Bancroft is a magician. And this is a sentiment I extend to the Books of Babel series. Bancroft's world building is lush, it's inventive. He does a great job of not only establishing in the world, but getting you immersed into it. I mean, any author can describe what a certain building looks like, they can describe what the clothes the characters are wearing, but I think what makes a world feel immersive is seeing our protagonists interacting with it. I love it when we see Iz and Warren kind of interacting with other side characters. We see what type of side characters populate this world. I also love seeing them at home. What hobbies do they engage in when they're comfortable, when they're at ease, when they're not on a case? And another thing that I also really love that Bancroft delves into is this mythology. Yes, there's magic, but there's also a particular mythology that's to this book. So you have this rich mythology and this magic that has flowed from it. And the thing is, magic isn't a stagnant element within the world of the Hexologists. As time has passed, you have technological advances, you have, the industrial boom, and you see how society has gone on to influence magic, how magic has gone on to evolve alongside society, and how the perception of magic has gone on to change as well. There are four main branches of magic. You have necromancy, wizardry, alchemy, hexagy. And in the past, wizardry and necromancy were held in high esteem. However, with the industrial boom, with the rise of factories, they fell in prominence to a point where they're being shadow banned now. And then what rose in prominence was alchemy, because you're dealing with metals, and so you could use alchemy within the factories. And then you also see that certain technological advancements have made some magic obsolete. Like, for instance, hexes were often used by midwives to ease the pains of childbirth. But nowadays, you could just use drugs. So Iz and Warren are taking on this case. They're going on this adventure in a society where magic and technology are butting heads. It's a society where technology is just slowly encroaching upon magic. And this is detrimental for the Wilbys because they use magic in their cases. And then this is an issue that is kind of touched on in this book, that's explored in this book. There are people who feel that, magic, there should be no use of magic within things like crime solving, because they feel that technology would be much more objective. Because, if you're leaving it into the hands of a magic user, wouldn't it be subjective? How can you ensure that they're going to be free of bias and prejudice? Things like that. So you have all these issues that, just considering how rich the world Bancroft has made it, these are issues that naturally result when you have such a rich world. So there's a lot of food for thought, and I just adore that when it comes to Bancroft and his world building. And speaking of Iz and Warren, that's another huge plus for this book. I love these characters. I love this duo. And I have noticed, as I peruse through book 2, particularly through the SFF side, I have seen, readers state that they want to see more older characters, I guess mature characters, not characters that are just like in their teens or maybe like 20, 21, that type of thing. Both Iz and Warren are well in their 30s, and they're a seasoned married couple. And that's another thing that's a huge plus, or I consider a huge plus. It's their relationship. It's a healthy, functioning relationship. They're not at each other's throats. They're not constantly butting heads. I don't know. I feel like there is this sentiment going on that, unless a couple is constantly bickering, unless a relationship falls apart, then it's not really realistic, which I think is ridiculous, because there are happy, healthy relationships out there. And the Wilbys is one of them. And the thing is, they have contrasting personalities. I mean, Iz is very much a spitfire. She's stubborn. She does great on other people. And then Warren is the exact opposite. He's this big bear of a man who's very personable, that gets along with everyone, very kind. And the two complement one another. They adore one another. They support one another. There's this scene in the book where Iz is approaching, I guess, one of her informants. And he asks her, where's your better half? And he's referring to Warren, who isn't there with her. And she doesn't get angry. She doesn't get bitter. It's like, yeah, he's my better half. It's just sweet between the two of them. And it is a shame that that does feel like a breath of fresh air when you have an older couple who is just in a happy, healthy relationship. Bancroft is doing a lot in this book. He is establishing these characters, their relationship, the world, along with the magic, the state of the magic within this world. But in the center of it all is this mystery, this highly entertaining, inventive mystery that is filled with lots of twists and turns. And here's another thing that I love about not only the Hexologists, but just fantasy mysteries or mystery fantasies in general, is that with each new clue we got in the Hexologists, another glimpse we got of the world as well. As we got closer to arriving at the conclusion, we just got to see how this world operates, how the magic operates. And that's another thing when it comes to these types of books, is that the mystery is also a helpful vehicle in exploring the world building. And that was definitely the case here in the Hexologists. Like the different types of magical artifacts that, Iz and Warren use for their case was just so inventive. It was so interesting to see, what was the history to it, the backstory of it, how its certain ability helped in the case. Stuff like that just made the world of the Hexologists all the more richer. Now, I won't go in depth on the mystery itself. I'll leave that up to you. If anything I said here in this video interests you, I highly, highly recommend that you pick up the Hexologist for yourself. I think that Josiah Bancroft's authorial voice is something that we need within the fantasy genre. So please, if you're interested, go check out the Hexologist. If you are into, the Tainted Cup, A Drop of Corruption, please check this one out. You might enjoy it. And now, before I let you go, I'm going to go on a little tangent. This is to address those who have read Hexologists, who loved it. You may not know, but there is a special edition of this book out. And it was done by Subterranean Press. Oh, sorry for the glare, but that's their edition of the Hexologists. And a huge shout out to Sub Press, honestly, because I think they're the only press out there that has done special editions of Josiah Bancroft's work. Actually, strike that. I know they're basically the only press who has done special editions. If you don't count Andorita, but Andorita has basically done just hardcover editions. There's no new art or anything like that. So yeah, I'd say that aside from Endorida, Subpress is the only press that has gone out of their way to produce special editions of Josiah Bancroft's work. I think that needs to change for sure. But yeah, this is what they have out right now. And hey, it's still available. There are still copies available on their website. If you're a fan of the Hexologists and you want to own a beautiful edition of it, check out Subterranean Press. Just look it up through the search option. But yeah, what makes this special, by the way, so you have cover art by Omar Ryan, and he's famous for, at least I knew him from that meme where it's the little girl holding that monster, like this atrocious abomination, and the caption is like, when you accidentally write to Satan instead of Santa for a puppy. I'll put a picture of it. But yeah, that's the artist who has done the cover art here. But on the inside, the illustrations are different. They're done by a different artist called Ian Leno. Now, Ian Leno is special because he is a friend of Josiah Bancroft's. Like, they've been friends since they were kids. And he's done the covers for the books of Babel, the Orbit editions. And he was asked to do illustrations for the Subterranean Press edition of the Hexologists, which is great. It's a collaboration between friends. So I thought that was really sweet and cool. So yeah, if you're interested in the Hexologists and you weren't aware that they had a special edition of it, now you know. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I convinced you to try out the Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. And this year would be a great time to pick this one up because the sequel, called A Tangle of Time, will be coming out at September 9th, 2025. So if you pick it up now, you can read it and then move on to the sequel later on at September 9th. So looking forward to that. And yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!